If you're spending more than 8 hours on every single YouTube script, well, you might be wasting your time. Because the YouTubers making great content consistently aren't necessarily always the ones putting in the most hours. They've simply figured out where to focus their energy and where to be strategically lazy. Now, back when I was writing scripts for clients like Ali Abdaal and Mike Shake, I would take days to write a script. But since figuring out what's actually important and honestly what's not, I now write most of my scripts in 2 hours or less. So in this video, I'll show you how to audit your own script writing process and figure out which parts actually matter in your situation for your niche, so you can learn to write scripts in around half the time it takes you now. Now, before we dive into the full audit, let's start with the most basic decision you're gonna have to make. Should you script word for word or bullet point? Because this choice is gonna have a massive impact on how long it takes you to write a script. But the most common advice here is actually harmful to a lot of YouTubers. Now, right out the gate, if you don't have a teleprompter, word-for-word scripts are, in my opinion, completely pointless. Because, what happens? Well, you look to your laptop or wherever your script is and you try and memorize a few sentences at a time, then you turn back to camera and probably forget everything. And so you look back at the laptop and you try memorizing it again, and then at best, you might get a 90% approximation of what you actually wrote as you try to deliver the line from memory. Trust me, I've recorded my 36,000 word script writing course twice without a teleprompter, and let's just say you can literally see the misery in my eyes. I am going to take these off, actually. This feels like copyright infringement. So yeah, no teleprompter, no bueno. By which I mean don't write word-for-word scripts. But what if you do have a teleprompter? Does that mean you should automatically write scripts word for word? Well, let me ask you this. Are you a natural storyteller in conversations? Do you enjoy public speaking or riffing in group settings? If yes, then script your structure, but leave room for spontaneous asides and jokes and maybe a pretend Aperol spritz, so that anything you enjoy expressing in more natural language, well, you can do it. Now, if you're not a natural storyteller, then my advice is to script everything, because attempting to improvise a video like this one is going to cause you a lot of stress. It's not going to be fun. It's going to take longer to film. It's going to be more editing afterwards. And overall, the video is likely to just come out worse. Most YouTubers simply never self-reflect on this, so make sure that you do. Now, if you didn't make a time saving on this one, don't worry. I promise we're going to find you some efficiencies in the next few areas. Because next, we have to talk about the research process. And this is where you can really burn a lot of time before writing a single word of your script. Now, to get the elephant in the room, well, out of the room, some niches simply will require more research than others. If you're a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer of some sort, your channel is going to need more research than, say, a business coach teaching sales techniques, or a productivity guru sharing their personal systems, or a YouTube scriptwriter sharing the scriptwriting frameworks he uses day in and day out. But that being said, if you do have to do a lot of research, well, here's how you can speed it up. First, split your writing sessions into pure research and pure writing, because both use a completely different part of your brain, and it burns more mental energy trying to switch between the two, which is going to slow you down. Second, resist the urge to jump into the research right away and start by writing what you already know. That way, when you do launch into the research, you're looking to fill specific gaps, rather than procrastinating with endless background reading that could really go on forever. And third, use an AI tool like Perplexity to find cited sources way faster. My word, I wish I'd had Perplexity when I was writing papers at university. But regardless of whether your niche is research heavy or research light, the tricky part is deciding when is enough enough. So before you disappear down another research rabbit hole, I want you to ask yourself this. Am I researching to serve my audience, or because I feel insecure about whether I'll be believed? Does this extra research meaningfully change or bolster any of my points? Now, yeah, sure, research is needed to varying degrees based on your niche, but the key to saving time here is becoming aware of when it's becoming strategic procrastination. God. Starting to feel it. This earlier on I said this was a fake Aperol spritz. It's not. And I haven't eaten dinner yet. My goodness. Now, not only will this next hack save you the most amount of time going forwards, but unlike our other time savers that depended on your niche, well, this one applies to everyone. So we spoke already about the idea of your brain burning more energy than it needs to, and that usually happens as a result of task switching. Now, the problem is writing an entire YouTube script isn't just one task. It's thousands of micro tasks all stacked together. So in order to avoid burning that valuable mental energy for as long as we possibly can, we need to reduce the number of micro tasks we have to complete. And the way that we do that is by strategically templatizing key parts of your script. The first and most obvious of these is your hook. And for any educational video, simply start out by listing everything you know about your target. That's who you're writing for, your transformation, which is exactly what they'll get by watching, and your stakes, which is what happens if they don't achieve the transformation. Listing those components first without the pressure of having to write a hook makes it way easier to combine them later on. But we can save even more brain power here by simply picking 3 to 4 hook frameworks that have worked for your channel or in your niche in the past and rotating between them. For example, the struggle hook. If you're spending 8 hours on A, you might be doing B wrong. The discovery hook. I spent the last month reviewing 50 YouTube scripts and noticed the same mistake in 80% of them. The authority hook. After writing scripts for productivity, here's what I learned. Now, this might feel lazy, but as long as the hook is compelling, your audience truly doesn't care. And by the way, I just spent the last 3 months building a script writing brainstorming buddy that works with you to build out scripts in your style, including your hooks, of course. So if you want to be one of the first to try it when it goes live, there's a link to the waitlist in the description below. Okay, so we've templatized the hook, but templatizing the rest of the script? Surely that's kind of soulless, right? Well, why should it be? Because let me ask you this. Do you like Lord of the Rings? What about The Lion King or The Matrix, for example? The reality is there are 1,000 movies that all follow the same hero's journey structure, but they're all totally different, obviously. And writers don't use that structure because they're lazy, but because it's effective. And it's no different with YouTube scripts. So to ensure your videos have something exciting for the viewer peppered throughout, you can use a structure like my setup, tension, payoff framework. Now, I've spent years working with numerous different YouTubers of all sizes, and we've consistently found that this structure starts to flatten out retention. Setups open a curiosity gap. Tension builds towards the answer without giving it away. Payoffs deliver the resolution. I've been doing it this whole video. This is strategic laziness at its very best, because now you're spending more mental energy crafting the actual insights that differentiate you from your competitors instead of getting hung up trying to find a good structure on every single new script you write. Now, we couldn't talk about lazy script writing and not mention AI now, could we? Because while AI can significantly cut your script writing time, most creators either avoid it completely or let it turn their content into something that is completely soulless. So let me cover the 3 most basic strategic laziness use cases for AI that you should implement on your scripts. First, for structure and brainstorming. Now, you might have 1,000 different ideas and you know you need to fit them into a model like the setup, tension, payoff model that we just spoke about. And having a conversation with AI is invaluable in figuring out the order that your segment should be in and how your payoffs should all fit together. Just treating it like another person that you can brainstorm with is invaluable. Second, and kind of related to the first, use it to spot gaps in your own arguments or suggest counterpoints that maybe you haven't considered. And third, use it to synthesize research into the actionable takeaways that you actually need for your scripts, so you're not just spending hours combing through a bunch of documents and pretending it's time well spent. You'll have heard this a lot by now, but AI is great for supercharging your own thinking and getting through repetitive, manual, non-creative tasks quickly, but don't ask it to just do everything for you. But now we come to the most dangerous part of the video, and even just saying those words makes me feel that the sunglasses are probably more appropriate. Because we're going to try and solve the #1 reason that you are consistently capable of getting a script to 90% ready in just a few hours, yet somehow finding yourself spending days on the revisions. But it's important to recognize when your perfectionism is turning into procrastination, or maybe even a little bit of fear. I mean, it's a bit cliche at this point, but you really do learn more from making 10 videos that are 80% perfect than 1 video that's 99% perfect. I mean, just in the last 6 months, I've added another 10% to my email list with just the free lead magnets that I put under my videos. That was a big goal for me, but to do that, I had to be consistent. And to be consistent, I had to force myself to be strategically lazy with the number of revisions I was willing to do per script. So with that said, here's what to actually focus on when making revisions to a script and how to make sure they do not 10x the amount of time you spend per script. First up, you want to focus 70% of your revision time on the hook. Now, let's not overcook this point. It's important. Your video lives and dies by it, so please do take time on this by all means. Next, I want you to check the first segment of your script. That's the bit that comes immediately after the hook, to ensure that it feels either surprising, exciting, or at least easy to implement, because this is where you're delivering the first piece of actual value. So you cannot afford to start out with something that feels dull, that feels too long, or that just feels too hard. Third, you're going to audit every single setup throughout your videos to make sure that each clearly and excitingly outlines what the next segment is going to be about, because these are the moments which either keep viewers watching or they lose interest. Fourth, and this is possibly the hardest because you are going to be a subject matter expert in your own subject, you need to check that complex explanations are crystal clear. Because these moments where you're going deep on a particular subject are big danger zones where viewers can bail out if they get confused. And it's one of the most common things that I spend time workshopping with my students. Now, you're not going to like this, but there's a little something I need you to promise me that ties all of these together. You are going to set yourself a 2 revision rule. Because let's be honest here, right? The first revision usually fixes the big problems, and the second revision tightens it up that little bit further. But after that, if you're honest with yourself, you are in diminishing returns territory. So don't fall into endless revision hell from a place of fear or procrastination, because it's going to stop you publishing consistently. Do 2 revisions, then lock your computer in a cage or throw it in the sea. I don't really care what you do with it, just stop revising it. 2 times, no more, I'm watching you. So we've covered the key areas where you can become strategically lazy on your next script, but we don't want this to come at the expense of a video's performance. Because the problem is, there's a specific curiosity mistake that even experienced YouTubers make that can instantly wreck your retention. And if you're doing it, you probably haven't realized. So watch this video next where I break down exactly how curiosity gaps can backfire on you and the simple structural fix you can apply in minutes. Bottoms up.